There's a moment, and almost everyone who's ever come into real money will tell you about it, when you finally buy the thing. Maybe it's a car, maybe it's a watch, maybe it's a table at a restaurant you used to walk past and pretend you weren't looking at. And for a little while, it feels exactly like you thought it would. Then something shifts. We talk about wealth like it's a destination. Get enough of it and everything gets easier, simpler, quieter. But the truth is stranger than that. Because money doesn't just change what you can buy, it changes what you want. That arc, from hungry and visible to quiet and free, is one of the most fascinating and least talked about journeys a person can take. This is the story of how spending habits transform as wealth grows. And it starts, like almost every money story does, with something you want other people to see. Think about the first time someone close to you came into a little more money than they'd had before. Maybe it was a raise, a bonus, a first real job after years of scraping by. What did they do with it? Chances are they bought something visible, something that could be seen from across a room. There's nothing shallow about that impulse. It's deeply, almost biologically human. When you've spent years feeling financially invisible, the urge to signal your arrival is overwhelming, and the market has always known this. There's an economic concept built around exactly this, a Veblen good, named after the sociologist Thorstein Veblen. Veblen describes a product that becomes more desirable as its price goes up, not despite the cost. Because of it, a $40,000 watch tells the room something that a $400 watch never could. This isn't a flaw in human nature, it's a feature. Status signaling is, at its core, a communication tool. It says, I made it, I belong here, I am not who I was. And in the age of social media, that signal has been amplified to a frequency we've never seen before. Research consistently shows that exposure to luxury content on platforms like Instagram meaningfully increases the desire to buy visible status goods, especially among people in their 20s and early 30s. The feed becomes a mirror, and the mirror is always asking, what do you have to show? The global market for personal luxury goods tells this story in numbers. In 2019, it was worth around 283 billion euros. By 2023, it had climbed past 360 billion. Some of that growth is inflation, but a lot of it is aspiration. Millions of people, newly connected and newly aware of what wealth looks like, are deciding they want a piece of it. The visibility of luxury has never been wider, and so the hunger to participate has never been stronger. But here's where the story gets interesting, because not everyone on that wealth ladder is climbing at the same speed, and the people who've been on it the longest, the ones who've had real money for years, sometimes decades, they're doing something different. They're getting quieter. Not all at once, not suddenly, but there's a consistent, almost predictable pattern that emerges as net worth grows past a certain threshold. The visible consumption slows, the logos get smaller, the parties get more private, and what takes their place is something harder to photograph. Consider what researchers have found when they study spending and happiness. Experiential purchases, a trip, a meal, an afternoon that becomes a memory, produce more lasting satisfaction than material ones of equal cost. The brain habituates to objects. It doesn't habituate to experiences in the same way. You stop noticing the car. You never stop telling the story of the trip. That asymmetry between the thing and the moment is something the wealthy tend to figure out, but often only after they've bought enough things to learn it firsthand. But there's something even more revealing. Among genuinely wealthy people, the spending category most strongly linked to reported life satisfaction isn't experiences or luxury goods. It's time. Specifically, paying other people to handle the things you don't want to do, errands, admin, logistics, buying back hours of your own life. This is a profound inversion. Early stage wealth says, look at what I have. Later stage wealth says, look at what I no longer have to do. the goods get invisible. The freedom becomes the prize. And here's something that surprises most people when they first hear it. The majority of wealthy people in America, around 80% of millionaires, are first generation. They didn't inherit it, they built it. Many of them will tell you that the spending that felt most meaningful wasn't the early signaling. It was the moment they stopped needing to signal at all. That shift is quiet, but it's one of the most significant changes in the whole journey. There's a line from the writer Morgan Housel that cuts right to the center of this. He says, "Wealth is what you don't see. Real wealth," he argues, is unspent money. The saved, the invested, the quietly compounding. By definition, you can't photograph it. You can't post it. And the people who understand that most deeply are often the ones with the most of it. The biggest balance sheets frequently belong to the quietest spenders. Invisibility in money can be a sign of mastery. This creates a strange paradox at the heart of modern aspiration. We look to visible consumption for evidence of success, but the wealthiest among us are increasingly invisible in their spending. The signals we're chasing often belong to people still on the way up, not the ones who've arrived. Now, none of this is to say that buying something beautiful or wearing something expensive is somehow wrong. That's not the point. The point is about the why. Early spending is often driven by external validation, by the need for others to confirm that something real has changed. Later spending, when it's working well, is driven by internal alignment. You buy what genuinely adds to your life, not what announces your life to others. That's a subtle distinction, but it changes everything about how a purchase feels the morning after. The shift isn't just psychological, it's almost architectural. The ultra-wealthy, those with net worths above $30 million, now number roughly 395,000 people globally. Their concerns have moved from accumulation to preservation, from visibility to legacy, from consumption to control over their own time and attention. Privacy becomes a genuine luxury at that level. The ability to move through the world without being tracked, targeted, or observed. The ability to say no to dinners, to deals, to demands on your calendar without consequence. Freedom, it turns out, is the most expensive thing money can buy. And it looks like almost nothing from the outside. No badge, no logo, no post. Just time, yours entirely. There's also something worth sitting with here about what this arc costs emotionally, because the transition from visible to invisible spending isn't always smooth. There's a grief in it for some people. An identity was built around the signals. The car wasn't just a car, it was proof. Letting go of the proof means trusting that you know, even when no one else can see it. That's a quiet kind of confidence. And it takes time to grow. So, where does this leave the rest of us? The people still somewhere in the middle of that arc. The ones who feel the pull of signaling but also sense, somewhere underneath it, that the thing they're really after isn't a product. Maybe the most honest thing to take from all of this is a question worth asking yourself before a purchase, not after. Am I buying this for how it will make me feel? Or for how it will make me look? That's not a moral judgment. It's just a map. Knowing which one is driving the decision tells you a great deal about where you are on the journey. Not where you should be, just where you are. And that awareness by itself changes something. Because here's what the whole arc, from the first visible purchase to the late stage quiet, is really about. It's not about money. It's about the slow, sometimes painful process of needing other people's eyes less. Of building enough inner certainty that the external mirror stops being the primary one. Remember that moment at the beginning, the thing you finally bought, the restaurant you walked past, the signal you sent. That moment is real, and it matters. There's nothing to be ashamed of in wanting to be seen after years of feeling invisible. But the people who've walked the furthest down this road will tell you something quietly if you ask them. The best purchase they ever made wasn't the one that turned heads. It was the one that finally let them stop looking around to see who was watching. Wealth changes what you can buy, but time and enough of it changes what you want. And what most people want, eventually, is the same thing they wanted before the money arrived, just to feel free. The difference is that now they know. Freedom doesn't announce itself. It just quietly shows up one morning, and the day belongs entirely to you.